Okay, so I just want to complete our average rate of change examples. Okay, average rate of change is just simply the slope. Like I talked about in class yesterday, I promise you that you will study this in every single math class you ever take. Okay, so average rate of change is slope. All right, if we're determining slope, then you have to review what we know about slope. We need 2 points. When we have the 2 points, we can plug it into our formula. If we have a graph, we can count. Okay, but now that we've studied function notation, we can also get our ordered pairs by plugging in our input and getting an output. You have to be able to determine the 2 points. They either have to be explicitly stated, or you have to be given an interval on which to find the average rate of change. Intervals start and stop. The intervals always give us our x values. Okay, so we might have to do a little bit of work to find our output, but our intervals always give us our x values. Okay, this is the example we did yesterday. Our interval was given, we plugged in to find our output, and then we used our slope formula, change in y over change in x. And that's another thing that I just want to continue to remind you of. Change in y over change in x. Okay, so this is as far as we got yesterday. Your first step always when you're determining the average rate of change is to find your 2 points. Find your 2 points, start with your x's, and then we're able to determine what our corresponding y values or outputs are. Okay, so when I look at my directions, what am I given? I'm given this interval. What do I need you to understand that as? I have one x coordinate of -3. I have a second x coordinate of 0. Okay, we're given a graph. Let's locate those points on the graph. Okay, so when x is equal to -3, here's the point on my graph. My corresponding y value is +2. When x is equal to 0, okay, when x is equal to 0, I locate that point on my graph. The y coordinate is -3. So what do these do? These correspond to the ordered pairs -3, 2 and 0, -3. All right. So what's my average rate of change? My average rate of change is the slope of the line connecting those 2 points. Change in y over change in x. Okay, -3 minus 2. Those are the difference in my y values, divided by 0 minus -3. Okay, so I get -5 divided by +3. And that's my average rate of change. Done. Okay, so regardless of the format that you're given, you always have to determine the 2 points. If we're given a graph, I really want you to understand how nice and easy it is to interpret from a graph. Okay, so we found our 2 points. Now, what if I were to draw a line through those 2 points? How can we find the slope? This is where we can use our rise over run relationship. So from this point, from between the 2 points, if I come down, so if I create this little slope triangle, 1, 2, 3, 4, I come down 5 units, 1, 2, 3, and I go to the right 3 units. What's my slope? Rise over run. My rise is 5 down, so my rise would be -5, and I've run 3 units to the right. So if I looked and I created a line between those 2 points, I get the exact same value for the average rate of change. Okay, last example, find the average rate of change of the function from x sub 1 equals -1 to x sub 2 is equal to 4. Okay, so my goal was to try and present the problems to you in the different ways that you would see them. So what's our first step? We need 2 points. Determine 2 points. Okay, this is not an interval notation. I explicitly state what the 2 x values are. If it was in interval notation, I could ask the exact same problem, and it could say, find the average rate of change from -1 to 4, and I put them in closed brackets. Okay, so now I need my corresponding y values. How do I get my y value? I plug it into my function. I plug my x value into my function. Okay, so first I'm going to replace my x's with -1. -1 squared is +1. -4 times -1 is a +4, so it gives me a corresponding y value of 5. Okay, now y sub 2 into my function. I replace all my inputs with +4. 4 squared is 16. -4 times 4 is -16. So my corresponding output is is 0, excuse me. So what are my 2 points? -1, 5 is my first ordered pair. 4, 0 is my second ordered pair. Okay, so what's my average rate of change? Change in my y value over the change in my x value. So now let me just do a different order so you can see that it doesn't matter what we pick as y2, y1, just whatever point you start with in the numerator, you have to use that same point in the denominator. So change in y, 5 minus 0 divided by -1 minus 4. 5 minus 0 gives me +5. -1 minus 4 gives me -5. So what's my average rate of change? My average rate of change is -1. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you.